Good morning and welcome to Daily Game Design. That was a bad sign. Right when I started, the thing disconnected. But here we are. Let's make it happen. Solar Smugglers has been a joy to work on. And I think, it's just been really cool. Like, really exciting. For, like, the influences I'm having, for the ideas that have been in the back of my mind for a while, for the right theme, for everything to just kind of like fall into place, come together. I think it's been a really, really fun process to be a part of. And that's how I really see it. I really see creativity as um like a thing to get caught up in and almost like invited into, welcomed into. The reason I think that is um that I think that there's a really cool way of thinking about like when we make things, seeing ourselves as creators, and in the sense that, like, if like being in the image of God, I think means to be involved in the process of creating. And that's, I mean, there's more to it, I imagine, but for me, that's one of the key ideas. And the beautiful thing about God in that position of creation, of being creator, I mean, is that God's intention was to create beings with free will. And so imagine that experience. Imagine that experience where you take the kind of risks where, even if, I suppose, the created thing is not necessarily involved in I guess now that I'm thinking about it a little more closely, the thing in the case of God's creation, that the created things weren't involved in the process, but the structure, the organization, afterward, like, these things that were created were involved in developing that environment, the thing that was created. So what I think is really, really cool is thinking about these things we create as like being living things that eventually take on their own identities, take on their own, um, like, kind of become their own agents, right? And I think being the creator, like the person working on this stuff, is in a weird way to help that thing become itself, to support it through its own process. So that's why I think it's really fun to watch a thing like a game or a song or a sauce, these things I've worked on for a long time, to watch them shift, depending on feedback from the audience, depending on the influences that I'm having, depending on, I don't know, the technology available, all this, the ingredients available, whatever it is. But the thing becomes something other than what I intended. And that to me is like evidence that this thing kind of takes on its own life. Now we set the intentions, right? We have some major goals in mind. Like, for instance, in our case, audience experience. We have a kind of target audience which helps us set the complexity level, um might help us make certain types of design decisions, but ultimately it's the cycle of, like brainstorming, experimentation and implementation, testing again, like, yeah, gaining feedback, And these loops, like through multiple loops, just to watch the thing grow and become more of itself, become like take on the identity in more and more concrete ways. Um, but take on an identity in more and more concrete ways. I think that's really, really cool. So, Solar Smugglers has been really a nice experience in that way because it happens so fast. And I'm not, I can't make any claims about it being like an incredible game, or whatever. But I do think just in the cooking that happened, the the intensity, the heat that was involved of the last, I think it was like Wednesday through Friday. To me, that indicates that there's something there, like the confluence of all these things and pushing that game forward and helping reimagine it. I think it was just really, really awesome. So I have oh, interesting. I wonder why I did this. So I have a drafted rulebook, and it seems fairly simple. I want to talk through this rulebook, make some tweaks and things, because I've been working with Gemini to draft it, and Gemini just like gets like it seems like it does a thing pretty well, and then suddenly it changes what it did, and while it's working on other things, and it's just kind of goofy in that way. Okay, so in Solar Smugglers, you take on the role of opportunistic space pilots, transporting illicit goods across a volatile star system. I don't think they need to be illicit. Through high stakes auctions and calculated maneuvers, you must fulfill contracts and navigate the threat of solar storms to become the most legendary smuggler in the sector. Okay, I think that actually was nicely put, honestly. Um, there might be some ways to tweak that, but for now, that's fine. Okay. The wormhole. I love that it's still a very compact game. There'll be a little map, but I think it's only, wait a second. So, number of cards, is this correct? So we get 22 in the item deck. I kind of think it should be the smuggler deck. I don't know. This one's tough. Because it doesn't only contain items. It contains one market and it contains the Solar Storm card, but I'll just leave it for now. So the item deck, and it says 20 unique items, one Founder's Bank, one Solar Storm. Actually, I'm going to go for it because I think I want to call the phase of auctions and actions the smuggler phase. So smuggler deck, let's do that. Then the Solar Storm deck, 9 cards, 8 radiation cards, and 1 fly on card. Perfect. Contract deck, right? So, yeah, about 50 cards. So a little map, about 50 cards. Right now, I'm going with tokens. And the reason I went with tokens is because of, kind of fixing some issues with resolution. Like when things are resolved when the auction ends, I think collecting tokens is going to be way better. So this allows players to like spend those actions as they wish and not necessarily on the turn when they got them. So I think that's better. Okay, and by the way, anybody concerned with like the weather you've heard about over here, there have been some insane storms. I was completely unaffected and I didn't know that. I didn't realize that so much was going on. I mean, I didn't know that my experience was so different from so many people. Here in my little apartment, um, I heard some rain and got a little bit because of the wind. Got a little bit of water and underneath my front door, but otherwise, that was it. So yeah. Otherwise, the kind of things people were dealing with, very serious flooding in certain areas. Um, so a fair amount of damage. I drove over to I drove over for a lunch yesterday with my friend Chris having his birthday. So I drove over the Poly and there were like huge limbs down. Um, my friend Eddie showed me a picture or a video of somebody driving by where there had been like a rock slide and the giant rocks got caught by the net that was like protecting the road. Um, so drove through the tunnels yesterday. The tunnels were pitch black. The lights were out. Many of the intersections had either blinking red lights or no power. A bunch of other people had lost power for somebody said 32 hours. They lost power for 32 hours. So that was kind of nuts. So I was in my little haven over here and just did not realize what was going on. I think if you were watching the stream over the last few days, you know that I was like expecting crazy things to happen, and every now and then there'd be some indication that things were not perfect outside. But I only saw like it was because of videos on Facebook and Instagram that I started seeing how people were affected. So pretty crazy. But I'm all good here, and even yesterday, I was over on that side, and I think their internet is still messed up. Like phone data was kind of weird, but so far my stream today has been solid. And anyway, I'm grateful that I'm at peace here in my little apartment, and yeah, we hope those who are affected, can recover fairly quickly. Okay, so tokens, credits, victory points, movement, and peak tokens. True. Yep, that's right. Tiles, item tiles, water jugs, laser guns, and batteries. So pawns. I think it'd be great if these were little spaceships, but for now they're pawns. 4 player smugglers, 4 bidding pawns, 1 police bot. That's right. Loan cards, high interest credit boosters. There's no need for this. It's weird that AI adds these little. So I've noticed a couple things as it's writing rule books. It adds names for everything. I think we'll run into those. Like all of the actions have names rather than just like do this thing or name the thing what it is. They add these like kind of fancy names for stuff, and then also these little explanations where you don't need them. This is useful because it lists the different things, right? But it doesn't describe what it is beyond that, right? Whereas with the loan cards, it actually describes what it's for, and there's no need for that. So I don't know. Um, so I don't know why it does that, and that's a reason why we can go through the rulebook to catch these little things. So I really like what it did in many ways. Very very simple, very concrete description. So each player receives 15 credits in a player screen. Place all smuggler pawns at the smuggler's den. Yep. Place bidding pawns in a general pool near the item deck. And I'm gonna have it update. Update. What did I say? Item deck to smuggler deck. Yeah, perfect. So it caught that. We don't know what the smuggler deck is yet, so I think that would obviously be that would come after. So I'm gonna move this to later. Okay. That's one thing I've noticed in other rule books is the issue where the the writer asks players to know things, to do things or care about things before they understand them, and so it's really nice to kind of decide on a to identify a really practical flow so that players have the context they need as they move through the rules. I just realized, like, especially if I just realized that it might make sense to have cards for two different solar cycles. I don't know what those cards would be necessarily. Um, like if the 10 cards at the start of the game and the 10 cards later on in the game were always the same, but just randomized in each like subset. But for now, they're all just the 20 cards are just like shuffled together, and you take 10 of them. But I actually labeled them. Now that I'm thinking more about this, this is kind of an interesting thing that I already almost anticipated. So I labeled the cards. Oh, the reason I can't do this is because of the items, the distribution of items. So never mind. Take 10 random item cards and shuffle the Founder's Bank card into them. 11 total. Great. Love that little clarification. The other 10 cards are set aside for the second solar cycle. Um, take 2 cards from that 11 card pile and shuffle the Solar Storm card into those 2, 3 total. Place those 3 cards at the bottom of the deck, then place the remaining 9 items on top. Nailed it. Nailed it, Gemini. That's so strong. That's perfect. Okay, Solar Storm row. Shuffle the 8 radiation cards. Deal 2 face down to start a row. Take 2 more radiation cards and shuffle the Fly On card into them. Place these 3 cards face down at the end of the row. Total 5 cards. It's just like killing it here. Shuffle the Contract deck. Deal 1 card face down to planet locations 2, 3, and 2, 3, 4, and 5. Deal 1 card face up to location 1. Place the space bot on location 1. You know what? Because we don't interact with it in any other. No, I can leave that. I can leave that. Each player receives 15 credits on a player screen. Place all smuggler pawns at the smuggler's den on the map. Should I say on the map? No, because it would just be it would they would players would see it in an illustration right there. So there's no great need. The game is played over 2 solar cycles. Each cycle consists of a smuggle phase, followed by a solar storm phase. Fantastic. The smuggle phase consists of multiple rounds of an auction followed by actions. This phase ends immediately when the solar storm card is revealed from the smuggler deck. Like, it's offering what it needs when we need it. Like, it's great that's a tiny little introductory it's 2 sentences as an introductory paragraph, and then we just move on. So it says what it is plus how it ends. Beautiful. Okay, the auction revealed the top card of the smuggler deck, Founder's Bank. If revealed, a player may trade VP for credits at a 1-to-1 ratio, one way only. Discard and reveal the next card to begin the auction. This needs to be simultaneously. Trade VP for credit, discard and reveal the next card to begin the auction. Um, I probably want to add a little more to this because I want it to be like that they choose some number and reveal that number. So they, they're not like kind of reading the room as they decide how many to trade. If revealed, players may simultaneously trade one time. By choosing a number of VP tokens revealing them simultaneously and then trading with the supply. I think that's pretty good. All right. Discard and reveal the next card. Correct. If revealed, stop immediately and enter the solar storm. The bidding. The first let's do item card. Item. Proceed to bidding. To bidding. What I learned yesterday from Justin is back. I was very happy to see him yesterday at lunch. What I learned from him is that it looks like ChatGPT still doesn't have this sort of console window. He uses ChatGPT for a lot of stuff. And I've been loving Gemini. And one of the main reasons I love Gemini is that it creates these documents off to the side of the main chat. And then we can dialogue about these documents. And to me, I use it so much. It's amazing. Whereas I think ChatGPT still has like one chat in line. At least according to his experience. And I assume he pays for it. I assume he has everything. By secretly of their VP tokens, revealing them simultaneously and then trading with the supply. Discard and reveal. Perfect. Okay. I think I can do this. Okay, first bidder. For the first auction, the player who most recently looked through a telescope. Subsequently, the winner of the last auction. Okay, options. 1. Bid up. Increase the current high bid. You may add cubes to the total. You may add credits to the total you already bid. Okay, pass. Exit the auction. Return your bid. No, this is not correct. This section was weird. This one changed, and I don't know exactly why. Exit the auction. Return your bid to the supply. You will, let's see, exit the auction. You will return your bid to the supply at the start of the action, at the start of actions. When the auction is over. When the auction is over. Fine. If you bid 0 credits, you cannot participate in actions this round. Recover. Pay 1 credit penalty to take back your bid. You cannot participate in actions this round. Oh, okay. Um, okay, increase the current high bid. You may add credits to the total you already bid. Exit the auction. You will return your bid to the supply, not your supply. Credits. If you bid 0 credits, you cannot participate in actions this round. So far, so good. I think I want a little intro here. Oh, the first bidder must bid some at least 1 credit at the start of the bid. Okay. At the start of the auction, excuse me. At the start of the auction. Yeah, I don't really love that it combined. Oh, okay. I think I'm going to do. Oh, wait a second. If I can. Okay. Okay, so now I'm gonna add this little section here. Bidding continues clockwise and ends when all but the highest bidder have passed or recovered. I'll do a C below. Yeah. I think this is fairly clear now. You know what? I can what I'll do is I'll just move this down. Bidding continues clockwise. With players choosing one of these three options. Yeah. So then I think I can do it like this. Like actually make a little like indented section here like that. I like it. Oh, Peter Dunstan. Legend. Scooter legend. Okay. Bid up, increase the current high bid. You may add credits to the total you already bid. Nice. Pass. Exit the auction. You'll return your bid credits. You'll return the credits you bid to the supply when the auction's over. Great. If you bid 0 credits, you cannot participate in actions this round. Mm-hmm. Okay, recover. Pay 1 credit penalty to take back your bid. You cannot participate in actions this round. Cool. Okay, and then I was going to add, I think it was, where did I mention? I think I'll just leave the loan section. Okay. The auction ends when all but the highest bidder have passed or recovered. Perfect. Okay, now that captures the whole process, I think. Ranking and rewards. Okay, rank participants by bid, first, second, and third, and fourth. First, second, etc. We can do that. All participants receive rank auction participants. I wonder if that's clear enough. It probably isn't actually. Rank participants. Because I say it, but I almost feel like I should remind the players that, like, if you didn't bid, you can't participate in actions, or you can't do any actions. And I think this is nasty, but like I think it also means you can't even spend action tokens that you've collected in previous auctions. So that'd be pretty rough. But I think, I mean, that definitely will motivate people to participate, even if they're not getting like, even if they're like 1 cube in, or I mean, one credit in. At least they're going to be losing credits, right? There is a reason. Yeah. Oh, no way. That's fun. Peter's doing something similar with Gemini, actually. But he's doing engineering, prompt engineering with Gemini for video generation. Oh, okay. That's awesome. Interesting. Okay, the auction ends when all but the highest bidder have passed or recovered. Okay, we're down here. Rank auction participants. By bid, first, second, etc. Yeah, by placing their pawns on the appropriate row on the item card, top to bottom. If a player did not participate, place their, what was it, bidding pawn? What do we call it? Their bidding pawn, that's right. Okay, place their bidding pawn to the side. Below the card. Take actions this round. Ouch. That they may not take actions. That's intense, but it's the real thing. Rank auction participants by bid by placing their pawns, their bidding pawns, on the appropriate row. On the item card, top to bottom. If a player did not participate, place their bidding pawn below the card, below the item card. Item card to show that they may not take actions this round. Okay. All participants receive the item tile shown on the bottom of the card. Perfect. Ranked rewards. Gain the VP left column and action tokens right column. Peaks or moves listed on your assigned row. Benefit swap. You may forego all rewards I'm going to say substitute one movement. We'll call it like that. You may forego all rewards on your row except the item tile to take one movement token instead. Actually, I think even the person who is in the bottom row, so it's a 4-player game, and so it's a 4-player game, and everybody bids something. I think even that bottom, the player whose pawn is at the very bottom of the card, so like here, the player whose pawn, so let's say these are the ranks, right? That snap point is confusing a little bit. So let's say these are the rankings. Then even this person should be able to forego taking a battery and use a movement instead. I think so. I think that flexibility is fine or useful, and it doesn't. on your row. Actually, oh, that's tough. Yeah, because oh no. So, right now I'm considering what happens to the player who bids on the bottom, whose pawn is placed on the bottom row. Should they be able to? They definitely cannot take the item and a movement. That's like a reward that somebody else. No, I think they can give up the item. I think they can give up the item. No, if they want to take a movement, they must give up the item. Um, all rewards, just all rewards. Yeah. You may forego all rewards to take one movement token instead. Yeah, that's tough, but it seems right. It seems right. You're so desperate to move and turn in something that you're just not going to take a peek or whatever it is. That needs to be on a player aid for sure, because you would never just remember that, or it's unlikely anyway, right? Okay. Smugglers take turns in reverse order of bidding. Lowest bid first. Lowest bidder first. So it's still um in reverse rank order, right? Smugglers take turns in reverse order of rank. Order of rank, right? Because we just switched it to rank. Remember, if you did not participate in the auction this round, you may not take any actions. That's so tough. That's tough. All right. Movement. Move to an adjacent location. To a connected location. Police setting. If you enter the same space as a police bot, resolve police interaction immediately. See below. See below. Okay. Peak token. Look at a face down contract or card in the solar storm row. Great. Um, you may take any number of actions at this time. Remember, if you did not participate in the auction this round, you may not take any actions. Okay, movement token. spend 1 move token. Movement token. To move your pawn to a connected location. Spend 1 peak token. To look at a face-down contract or a card in the solar storm row. Contract interaction requires an item tile and being at the matching planet. No, it does not. See, it's this kind of thing that like it definitely had this before. It had it right before, and I think it condensed things perhaps a little too much. So you know what I just realized is like these cards, like this card, if you bid, oh no, they're giving up the item. So I was gonna say this player will definitely take a movement because they're getting nothing. Actually, no, they have to give up the battery to take the movement. Oh, that's tough. That's tough. Okay. Almost there actually. With an item card. Except for not location 1. I think I probably would transition to talking about these things as planets, but that's fine. Flip the card face up, except when at location 1. Resolution. Okay, so I think this is right. But this is lacking context for sure. What was that? If you have an item matching the one shown on the item card, on the contract card, this is a success. If you have an item matching the one shown on the contract card, this is a success. Gain the indicated credits and gain the contract card. If you do not have a matching an item matching the one shot, discard the return the item tile to the matching item tile to the supply. Gain the indicated credits and gain the contract card. Success. Fail. Failure. If you do not have an item matching the one shown on the contract card, this is a failure. Gain the, what is it? Gain the I don't know how to say this. Okay. If you have an item matching the one shown on the contract card, this is a success. Return the matching item tile to the supply, gain the indicated credits. Gain the indicated credits for a success. Okay. So now this one is, okay, return the matching, return any item tile to the supply, gain the indicated credits for a failure, and discard the contract card. Oh, that hurts. In the contract. Okay, so that's good. All right. Space bot movement, police bot, right? Move the bot clockwise or counterclockwise as indicated on the contract. The bot moves one step per location and never enters the smuggler's den or wormhole. Police interaction. If the bot ends movement on if the bot ends movement if the bot pawn if the police bot pawn ends its movement in a location with players, resolve interaction. See below. Okay. Replenish. Immediately deal a new face down contract card to this location. face up at location 1. Okay, if a bot moves to a location with multiple players, resolve the interaction in current action turn order. Choose one penalty. Bribe, pay 3 credits. Like this is a case where it named something without needing to name it. You can just, this doesn't need a name. Just pay 5 credits, right? So I'm actually just gonna it's an attempt at theming, which I think is actually nice, but I'm just gonna remove it for now. Special location. Smugglers Den. Gain 1 peak on entry. Launder points. Trade. Optional. Upon entry, gain 1 peak. Upon entry, gain 1 peak. Optional. Trade 2 VP for 1 credit. Any number of times. The wormhole on entry. Upon entry. Is it upon or on? I think I'm going to go with upon entry. Jump to any location for free. Yeah. Wow. We're almost done. So I am heading out for breakfast this morning. Excited about that. Meeting up with Dan. And the timing seems pretty good. So I'm just about finished with my hour here. And hopefully, with a few minutes over, I'll have this rulebook draft complete. So, okay, the Solar Storm phase. Reveal the Solar Storm row cards 1 by 1. Radiation cards. Players must choose how to pay the cost listed, credits or VP. No mixing. You cannot pay a partial amount with both. You must satisfy the full cost using 1 currency. Correct? I haven't seen this. I haven't seen the language it used for this section yet. Solvency requirement. If you have enough of 1 currency to pay in full, you must use it. If you can pay in full with either, you may choose. Okay. If you cannot satisfy either requirement in full, you must choose 1 currency and pay everything you have in it until you hit 0. That's so sad. Storm elimination. Oh, you know what it's missing is how to set up for the second cycle. Oh, it does kind of say it here. Okay. Storm elimination, second cycle only. If a player's VP supply reaches 0 during the second solar storm by choice or bankruptcy, you would never choose this. They are eliminated and cannot participate in final scoring. Fly on. Storm ends instantly. Discard unrevealed solar storm cards. Okay, set up for second cycle. Or game end. Pawns remain in current locations. Rebuild the Smuggler deck. And what is the cycle 2 rules? And Storm Row as using the remaining the items set aside at the start of the game. And the Storm Row I'm gonna make this. I wonder if how can I? Is there a way where I thought I could format this differently? Complete, continue, proceed to. I like proceed here. Proceed to final scoring. Okay, I'll be right back. Let me text Dan very quickly. What did he say? Local Joe. Oh. Okay, almost there. Okay, set up for second cycle, or if the second cycle is complete, proceed to final scoring. Pawns remain in current locations. All pawns. Rebuild the Smuggler deck. Okay. Rebuild the Storm Row, the Solar Storm Row. Just as in cycle 1. Are we saying first cycle? I think we are, right? First cycle. First solar cycle. Just as in the first solar cycle. The second cycle, first bidder. The first bidder for the second cycle. It's interesting that they have to compare that they have to know, they kind of know where they might not know credits. They don't know how many VP tokens they have, but they'll know how many credits the other players have, which I think is kind of interesting. Oh, except I don't want the tiebreak to be VP. I don't think you should know how many VP the other players have. The first bidder for the second cycle is the player with the least credits. Tiebreaker. How do we do this? This is the last little detail. The player with the least credits. Tiebreaker. Tiebreaker most. Shoot. Least contracts, least items. I'll just do this. Okay. Eliminated players score 0. All other players calculate auction VP, total tokens and supply, contract VP, 3 VP per fulfilled contract. Great. Loan penalty, 3 VP minus 3 VP per loan card held. Tiebreaker, player with the most remaining credits wins. If still tied, players share the victory. Okay, I feel generally good about the rule book here. I'm sure there will be issues as we play test, but hopefully Gemini doesn't do weird stuff with the changes here. Okay, but that's it for me. Thanks for hanging out with me, and hope you have a productive day. Yeah, okay. Bye-bye for now.